evening, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Worldwide People's Championship. Haven't been able to say that for a while because I haven't done one of these for a while. TA for Life has been back for a couple of weeks, getting the odd game in, and he's been picking up the slack on this this series from the rest of us casters. Very glad to have you back, buddy. Thank you for returning to us. Don't go anywhere again. That is an order. This particular one's going to be from the 2v2 division of the championship, and it's going to be the over 1700 bracket. So these are the big guns, and it is going to be Team XBX versus Team Don Caputos, if I've got that right. But anyway, let's head on over to the first game, which is going to take place on Open Palms. See how these guys are going to get on. Of course, the 2v2 version of Open Palms, ever so slightly different to the 1v1 or the 3v3. They play widthways, so it's always nice to see that mix up. So take a look at the teams. Start with XBX down here. We've got System Failure. He's going Grey Fim, opening first land. Few P-Gens, all very standard. And his teammate down here is XBX's Diligence, and that is actually Dilly Dally. So he's joined Team XBX. A huge thank you to him to changing his name once again back to something that is pronounceable. I had real troubles with the Vatuye or whatever that was. That was not something that was easy for me. So thank you to him. And he's going Red Cybrin, opening first land. Going to get the adjacency bonus on one of those mexes to begin with. A couple of P-Gens. Grab those next four. And then he's going to go for a walk actually with his commander. Looks like he's going to go and assist this NG up here on his hydrocarbon. It's all nice stuff. Going to make his advancement into the middle of the map. Up here for Team 2, we've got BC Blackheart. This is the guy to watch out for in any game of late. You can see by his ranking 2,328. He is a beast. Of course, is one of these success stories. Was new to the game. Sort of, I don't know what it was, 6 to 8 months ago. He's come back in and is now competing with the pros at the top of the pile. Only sort of Luzon Voodoo can really stand against him generally in 1v1. First little bit of engagement over here on the right between Dillies and Craze. So he's the fourth player in this game. He's going yellow Cybrin over here on the right hand side, making up the second half of Team Don Caputos. A nice little run by actually from Blackheart, getting Hunters right in the back. Sorry, not Hunters, what I'm talking about. Mech Marines. He's going UEF after all. Here on the right hand side though, a couple of Mantis duking it out with a Mole as well for Dilly Dally. Going to give him a little bit of intel. Going to start primarying that Mass Extractor. Not going to get anything done. He did switch to the Mantis to try and finish him off, but eventually got wiped. And an early Jester into the mix as well, out from Dilly. He's making his way to the middle. Going to go straight back after that Mass Extractor. Is clearly aggrieved about it, but then she's going to fly straight over. He's got some coverage here from System Failure, who's giving him a couple of inties. He's going to go straight after some of the build capacity from Blackheart, trying to slow him up first. I like that. Obviously, System Failure, slightly weaker half of Team XBX in this game. And, Blackheart arguably slightly stronger than Craze. I hope Craze will forgive me for saying so. Trying to even out this game as best they can, but there's a pretty large group of Mantis heading south from Craze. There's now a Jester on them as well. We're getting some com-on-com action over here between Dilly and Craze ACU. And now we've got the Mantis from Craze heading into the bowels of Dilly's base, picking up build capacity all over the shop. Quite a hampering run by there. Jester will help thin them out. Question is how many engineers were lost, and another group of strikers over here from Blackheart now going after the Hydro for System Failure. Not something he wants to lose. Wants to finish it off though, doesn't want to commit to the Thams. It's a distraction, does manage to do so. We'll take a quick look at what that does to System's economy. Bottlenecks him on power. He's actually completely empty. Hasn't got any kind of energy storage in place for him to tide over. He was bottomed out on it anyway. Dilly's up front with his commander, just kind of patrolling. And Craze has done a pretty good job of getting the 3 mass points down here at the bottom right. Is a Jester working on it, but he hasn't bothered. He's going to let the engineer cap that. Much more efficient being as he's in place. And up here, Blackheart managed to get the top left as well, so Dr. Pudos, both of them managing to grab the corners. There's a few defending strikers here that these Thams really wanted to focus on first, but haven't been able to, so they lose that. Did get the engineer out the way, and there was one poor lonely engineer that went up to this top left corner to start grabbing them. Wasn't able to get anything done there. His support got gunned down in the fray. Dilly and Craze just kind of flirting with each other. They do that a lot, those Cybran ACUs. Very metrosexual indeed. System Failure just kind of trapped almost now in the nook. This is not a good situation at all. Blackheart's closing in with his units. There's a couple of PD sitting out here, so he's going to have to stick to the edges, but he doesn't have an awful lot of backup. Trying to back out as best he can, heading back towards his base. He's got some Thams moving in now to take the pressure off, but he's down to around 8,000 HP. He's got overcharge capabilities. He hasn't, so this is not good, looking good at all for System Failure. He's getting bumped by all of these Thams. Blackheart doing exactly the right thing, trying to hem him in. He goes down into the red, and surely that is the first ejection of the match. Poor old System Failure. And now Dilly's forces will face 2v1. He did divert an awful lot of his Mantis north. Still pushing ahead with that. Blackheart not looking too unhealthy at all. I don't think that's going to get too much traction, and the fact that he's got a plasma cannon in place as well is going to thin out those Mantises without any real problems. Of course, I hear that actually I should be saying Mantids. It's going to take some getting used to. Apologies if I don't remember to do that. Mantids or Mantises seems like a slightly lengthy way of saying things, but I don't know. I will try. We'll give it a try. Mantids, I think, feels a little bit better because apparently it's Greek. I don't know why that makes any difference, but it does apparently, and we're all in favour of getting things right. Gray's up here has managed to get an auto gun down, but this is surely game one to Donk of Putos. Dilly's trapped in his base now, no backup. His teammate has gone down, and Blackheart just streaming south now with his own troops, ready to assist Craze in the annihilation of the red symbionts down here. Dilly trying to get an upgrade on his commander. So you can see what that is. Be surprised if it was the gun upgrade. Looks like it's going to be, I think. Double check that in a sec. Mantids coming in here down at the bottom from Crazed. They take out a couple of mass extractors first. Big vulnerable line of T1 power right here. First one going to go down from there as well. Oh, it sits on 32 HP. We've got some reinforcing Mantids coming in from Dilly. Has managed to save that T1 P-Gen. He's got many more troubles brewing on the fringes of his base. I think you're gonna have to accept defeat on this one. Actually, he's got stealth. Has he got stealth, or is that just me? He has got stealth. He's got stealth and the gun upgrade. He's going to get in there and try and lengthen this game a little bit with his commander. There are hoplites on the field as well from Craze, so he's made the transition to D2, and surely this is the beginning of the end for Dilly and his base. It was a pretty base, functional in all its aspects. But it was deemed by Don Putos he was not to keep it for his life. Probably getting literally run over there as the units pour into the base. That is going to be game one for Don Putos. I did mention it before, of course, this is a best of 5, or first of 3, whichever way you like to look at it. Dilly rapidly running out of units. factories on half health all over the shop, except for that one's about to go down. The combined forces from Blackheart and Crazed begin to primary the ACU. Be taking a fair old amount of punishment. A while to go down. Dips into the red. A little bit of micro. You're just being a bit of a douche about the whole thing, Dilly. You really should die. Get us on to game 2. There he goes. And down he goes out of the game. So that is going to be game 1 to Don Caputos. Congratulations. As we move on to game 2. And the choice of maps actually go XBX first, then Don Caputos get 2, and then XBX get the 4th one. That leaves it even, and then Don Caputos, as the reigning champs, get the final map choice if it goes that far. I do stress if it goes that far, because it doesn't always. And there's a little scoreboard for you up at the top. Game 1 goes to Don Caputos. There we go. That is the way we look. So, game 2 is on Theta Passage 5, and although it's a 4-player map, you know, I don't think I've ever, in fact, I'm certain I've never casted a game. It's been in the map pool for the ladder for quite some time. I think it just went out in the last rotation. 100% certain on that. Original Theta Passage still in, of course, I think. So popular map. Such a popular map, I don't really know why. But anyway, up here we've got system failure for XBX at the top left going Grayfim once again. Up here at the top right we've got Dilly going Red Cyberin once again. Blackheart's keeping his baby blue down here at the bottom left going UEF once again. And down here at the bottom right, Crazed going yellow Cyberin once again. But it should be interesting to see the standard borders drawn across the middle, assuming it's a close game, of course. Be nice to see how this is going to play out. Usually you get on the 1v1 setup, one up top right, one bottom left. And they often send, say, their commander down here. If he was Blackheart starting at this bottom left side, send the commander on the right side and spam up the left. So you get a kind of rotational field fighting on 2 sides. It's not that easy. This should be a nicer, more symmetrical battle. And a couple of Selens out for system failure, giving them some decent intel in the early game. Lucy should be slightly concerned by Blackheart. System failure got literally run over in that first game. Needs to be as careful as possible. Dilly needs to assist him a little bit more. He's going to need the help. It's always difficult to know when you see these ranking points how accurate that ranking actually is next to their skill. Whether they've just come back and they're working their way up, ex-GPG players or something like that. And we've got one Snoop just doing a little bit of a fact-finding mission into Seraphim territory. That one goes down, but there's still another one running around, harassing with that brutal 2 DPS that they put out. Dilly finally leaving his base with his ACU coming south towards Crazed. A little bit of a Mantis and Mole action, facing off against a couple of strikers from Blackheart. Don't actually manage to get anything done there. You can see Dilly is offering a little bit more support in this one. It's a good thing too, because a whole bunch of forward build capacity just got murdered by these groups of strikers. Blackheart back slightly. Now Crazed flirting with the edges. Dilly's actually going to get an auto gun up at the front, which is a wise decision. Will help him lock down this side against Crazed, who's bringing his ACU into the mix. Is going to take out at least one Mantis. And Dilly's going to withdraw them slightly. We get those Mantis on there to help construct that auto gun. That goes down. That's going to force Crazed backwards slightly. Also getting some com-on-com action over on the left-hand side. I think the best way to run this now, because we are definitely going to be looking at 2 divided battles, essentially. So go to split screen and just track these 2 sets of commanders who are dueling at the front with bodies of troops behind them. System failure down into the yellow over on the left-hand side. He's got a decent amount of units with him, bunch of THAMs. Just to be careful, Blackheart's planning a PD down here. Could be the beginning of a creep. Want to allow that to pass. He's got some Zooies in the mix as well, so he'll be able to range that nicely. Dilly and Crazed getting a little bit of com-on-com action over on the right-hand side. This is where the main battle is happening for the moment. I'm actually going to run that down to 0. Don't want to miss anything. And a bunch of Mantis coming in from Dilly. He's offering some support. Also, some Mantis coming in from Crazed, who's tracked those unit movements coming across. So, very wise move from Dilly. It's best to keep his teammate in play. Crazed down here on the right is getting the an upgrade. I imagine that's probably going to be Gun or T2 at this stage. Usually is. Finally, the last Mantis from Crazed to go down, except for that one that's bugging out down there. No more reinforcements from Dilly up on the commander, but there's a little bit of a run-by down here from Dilly, heading right into the back of Blackheart's base. And this could be nasty. This is a very nice maneuver indeed. Crazed caught on an upgrade as well, lacking on troop side because he's been upgrading to T2, so he's got hoplites on the field. That is why the spam has led off slightly from Crazed. Mantids moving in around the back from Dilly. Take down another mass point, so taking out 3 mass points for Blackheart, now taking out a bunch from Crazed, and Crazed still not finished that commander. Dilly down to around 4,500 HP. Crazed down to around 5,000 HP, but a lot of Mantis have moved in and are now primarying Dilly. He's down to around 4,000 hit points suddenly. Someone's been sneaking diet pills into his breakfast. The weight is falling off him, down to 2,500. Still a ways to go on that upgrade. Is he going to commit to it? He's into the red, 2,200. He's going to manage to finish off the rest of those Mantids from Dilly. System failure on the left-hand side, still managing to hold Blackheart. I think that's partially helpful because of the Mantids that have made the run from Dilly around the back and are now assaulting Crazed's main base, and he's forced to withdraw his troops, and that could be a problem. Crazed has been swarmed with Mantids. He's either finished or cancelled his upgrades. It's going to be too late, far too many for him to deal with. He's going to be the first casualty of game 2. Down he goes, and now Blackheart has a serious mission to get on with. He has got to kill off system failure ASAP if he wants to stay in game 2, because Dilly will be coming for him with everything he's got. If only Crazed kept his hoplites up further up the field, might have been able to do something to prevent Dilly from making such a dramatic move on his commander. But Dilly's not going straight after the main comm fight. He's making a move south with the first portion of his Mantids, going straight after the base of Blackheart. And I like what he's doing there. It's going to allow system failure to clean up what's at front and cut off the reinforcements at the source. So it's a nice maneuver indeed. He's still got that initial band alive. He can make a nice little run by into the back of Blackheart's base. Blackheart still pushing forward though. It's the right decision. He has to kill off system failure if he's got any hope of staying in this now that his teammate has gone down. The reinforcing strikers for Blackheart getting entangled with some reinforcements from Dilly, who's also bringing his ACU into the mix as well. Up here, Blackheart's down to around 6,000 or just below 1,000 hit points. System failure looking a lot more healthy on around 7,800. Once again, having cleaned up that reinforcing group of strikers on the right-hand side, Dilly is going to send those Mantids further towards the base rather than going straight after Blackheart, who's down into the red, 2,000 hit points, needs to fall back ASAP, although in terms of the troops in the conflict zone, most of them are strikers, so system failure needs to be a little bit careful here. Blackheart heading back towards his base, can't afford to take too much more damage. Mantids now moving into Blackheart's main base. There will be no more reinforcements coming into this battle up here, so he needs to get a handle on it. Nice rank up of veterancy there has saved him. Huge hit point buff going to Blackheart, and system failure now going down into the red. How far away is he from his next star? That is the question. It's hard to know with the newer system that's based on points. 1500 HP, going down to 1000. He's going to go down. Bang! So it's a one-on-one, but the only problem is Blackheart's base has been overrun by replicators. They are everywhere. Hydrocarbon going to go down. Surely he's having critical power issues. No, it's actually not got enough T1 power. But he's going to run out of luck. Mantid's all on his case. Going back to single screen. Tracking him down. 1500 hit points and falling. You made a good show of it, my friend, but you are out. Game 2 goes to Team XBX, so that evens it up. 1-1, very nicely done indeed. As we load up Game 3, we'll see how these guys are going to get on. So, interestingly, that was as well Don Caputos' choice of map, and so will Game 3 be. And if you like these, the look of these tournaments, guys, and you're not necessarily particularly skilled, don't worry. The Worldwide People's Championship is a very inclusive tournament, and they have the different brackets are, in case you weren't aware, for the 1v1 certainly they have as low as under 1200, so you really don't have to be too skilled at all to make a go of it. And the brackets actually are, you've got under 1200, under 1700, under 2000, over 2000, and that's for the 1v1s. And for the 2v2s, you've got under 1700 and over 1700. I'd like to see them open up actually another bracket. I know they're thinking about doing a Worldwide People's Championship for Setons, which so it's up to them, I suppose. You got to no, you've got to be inclusive. Setons players are people too, apparently. But no, it's fine. Seriously, it's fine. So taking a look, the colours have changed slightly. Dilly is up here at the top left. He's going red Cybrin again, so no change there. Opening first land, all very standard. And over here at the right-hand side, system failure is stolen Blackheart's baby blue. I wonder how he feels about that. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. And he's going Seraphim once again, opening first land, all very standard. Down here at the bottom left, Craze still in his typical yellow. He's going Cybrin. He's opening first, second, and third land. Just going to get some spam on. And down here at the bottom right, Blackheart has stolen. I wonder, one of these guys stole one of the colours. I'm not sure who has liberated who. And he's going UEF, and this time he's in System Failure's grey that he's been playing in the last couple of games. I don't know, maybe it was system failure. He's been having bad luck against the baby blue, so he's decided to take it, mix things up a little. You know how superstitious these FAF players are. And we've got an engineer out for Dilly. He's heading across to the center of the map, going to pick up those mass points in the middle, should he make it there. There's also plans from Blackheart to do the same, but he's only just setting off at there now, so he will be a little bit behind when he gets there, but he might be able to, if he gets in there, maybe gets a PD down here, he could potentially secure this. It's all very possible. I'm going to bump this up to +2 because, of course, Eye of the Storm. It's a fair old distance between players and their bases. Take a little bit of a while for stuff to start happening. So we've got second or third air and or second or third navy for Dilly, but either way, he's covering all boxes. And heading south with his ACU, grabbing mexes as he goes. And over here on the right, we've got System Failure, who's also making a move around a similar time. Craze is going to start moving now with his ACU. Blackheart's actually keeping his ACU back here for the moment. He's been helping with build power. He's going to help get all of these land factories surrounding that hydrocarbon, get that adjacency power bonus, which means he doesn't have to build quite so many T1 P-Gens, which means he can spend that mass on tanks. That is the way it goes. Also got air out for System Failure. Air out for Blackheart. So all of these guys covering all facets. Although Don Caputos, no one on that team yet grabbing Navy. And that could be crucial. Obviously, amount of space on this map that's devoted to water is pretty significant. So an early Navy could make the difference. We're already seeing slivers in production for Dilly. First one is going to come off the conveyor belt and probably head out into the middle of the game zone, I'd imagine, go hunting for other naval factories. In fact, he's going to sit there for now, but that's what I would be doing. And if he gets down here quickly, he could stop Cray's move towards Navy down here. He's got a couple of engineers working on a factory. But we've actually got quite a little bit of an air fracas brewing over here. Got a bomber heading south, not going to make it. Whole bunch of Sky Slammers in the mix down here for Cray's, the T1 mobile anti-air. One of them looks like it may get through. It's focusing on the spam anyway. It's not really heading for the base. Off maps a little bit. Very cheeky play there from Dilly. Coming back on, going straight after an engineer. And was that a radar? I think that was a radar, flanked by 4 T1 power. And system failure being very aggressive over on the right-hand side. Made his way down with his ACU. He's got a bunch of Zuis in the mix. Bombarding Blackheart's stuff at range. Blackheart's still back here, but he's got a gun upgrade. Look at that. He's heading forward with his ACU, heading north at great pace. And that's going to be trouble for system failure. He's been very aggressive last few games. Probably should have taught him not to underestimate his opponent. He's come off second best both times. One Zui over here for system failure, helping guard that middle island. And a bunch of build capacity over here that's been devoted by a nice bit of teamwork going on there for Team XBX. I'm going to just jump into split screen here. Keep an eye on the battle that's happening on both sides. Once again, a double fight happening. System failure not looking healthy at all. He's running along the edge of the beach, which is the right decision. Blackheart's looking like he's got the upper hand here. Gun upgrade. Do all kinds of damage. System failure is moving back onto the land though. 3,200 hit points. Stagnant over here on the left. Nothing going on, but once again down to 1,000 hit points. System failure is going to go out. Blackheart grabs that. And XBX is down a man once again. It's happened in every single game. Dilly has done a marvelous job. And he's up here getting an upgrade. Looks like he's got the stealth on him there. Possibly the gun upgrade as well. Looks like he's got slightly heftier numbers than potentially Craze does, at least on land. I'd like to have seen him move that Navy south. He could have stopped all of this going up. Now there's a torpedo launcher, albeit T1 in place down there. Blackheart's moving up the right-hand side of the map. He's going to probably be able to grab that base of system failures. It's going to give him a nice injection of eco. He's up here at the front on an upgrade. Probably going to be the T2, I'd imagine, because he's got some breathing room. Dilly is now on a mission. He needs to take down Crazed if he wants to stay in this. Heading south at great speed with all of his stuff. Takes out a radar on his way. Planted in the front. Going to work, taking out 3 units of build capacity. Very nice indeed. Both of these guys now, though, up to T2 Navy. First Salem off the conveyor belt. It's going to head south to join those slivers. There's actually a Salem half done as well in production for Craze. So, despite getting that very early naval factory, Dilly hasn't been able to make it work for him because he didn't rush south. But of course, it's all good. Fine for me to say these things because I could see exactly what stage of development Crazed was at with his navy. So it's all well and good talking about making a move at the right time when you know what the right time is. And Sliver's going to come into the bay, at the edge of the bay. Need to be careful, not going to win a fight down here, especially not now that Salem has come off the lot. Haha, let's see what I did there. No one else will probably get that, but you know what I mean. And Slivers, all 3 of them, promptly go down. And now reinforcing Tiger Shark from Blackheart as well. So he's got Navy, albeit T1 in play. Dilly having a dip. It's probably a little bit of dirt on his AC or something. Wanted to wash that off. And of course, this being a fully enclosed body of water, that's no doubt fresh water for him to have a nice little bath in. Back to the game. I don't know what I'm talking about. cruiser coming out now for Dilly. Siren using its range to take out this little band of units, which has taken down a mass point over here for Blackheart. Blackheart cornering off this edge of the map with T1 spam now. It's ACU actually making it across to the middle, and he's going to be able to deal with what's on the middle. There's one auto gun, that's it. One engineer and the 4 mass points that Dilly picked up at the beginning. Another cruiser sitting in the bay. It's under a serious amount of pressure now from Crazed. That Salem that was out here must have gone down, but actually we've got an engagement down here between Dilly and Crazed. Crazed slightly, ever so slightly coming off worse, but needs to be careful. There are Salems in play. Crazed is going to head into the water. Dilly knows it's all or nothing. Needs to pacify Crazed ASAP, but it's going to be a hard thing to do. The range of this Salem that's sitting in the bay could start going after the commander. That's probably what I would be doing. Salem is making it count in the bay, doing all he can, taking out the T1 from Crazed that's left from that little engagement. But Blackheart is heading into the bowels of Dilly's base now. Very little he can do. And Dilly down to around 2000 HP. He's not going to be making it out of there. He's trying to finish off these factories as best he can. Crazed is going to head back onto land with his ACU. He could start to bring this Salem on land. I think it's probably not a great deal of threat. Take a look at what Dilly's got. He can't even overcharge. He hasn't got any kind of power storage. Might have had it once upon a time, but there's loads of UEF in your base, Dilly. What are you going to do about it? And now he's just cornered. He's got no units left. Crazed is coming in with his ACU. And he's got some rapid fire on him. So both these guys upgraded on the gun, but very little Dilly could do. He was forced into that situation to make a push. There was no other way to manage it. Blackheart had made his way into the middle, grabbed those mass points. It was oil over, as they used to say in Megalomania. Points to anyone who knows what I'm on about there. One of the great games of all time. Early console strategy, if you can consider that console and strategy should be spoken in the same sentence. You know what I mean. On to what's going on there. Well, let's update the scoreboard first of all. Otherwise, there's no point in using it. Don Caputos, well done. 2-1. Now it's must-win games for Team XBX. Next two they must take if they hope to win this week's, what is it, week 18? I think it's week 18. Answers on a postcard. And no, I have never received actually a postcard with any answers on it for whoever it was who was asking the other day. On to game 4 while I load that up. Incidentally, guys, if you use Facebook and you haven't liked our page, just check it out. It should be in the description below this video. Go to Facebook/Forged Alliance Forever. And if you're that way inclined, you can also follow me. I have my own page. That's also in the description below. It's for facebook.com/Gylecast. So check that out. So game 4, pressure on for XBX, and the map is Desert Arena. And this was actually chosen by XBX. It just so happened that it's fallen on them. Game time is kicking off. The pressure's on. They need it, and they've chosen Desert Arena, so it's obviously one they feel comfortable about. Taking a look at the locations. Up here at the top left, Blackheart. He's going grey UEF once again. And over here on the right, we now have laneless. Now, I was asking Crazed what happened here. For those of you that don't know, the team version of the Worldwide People's Championship operates with a little bit of leeway. You actually have a squad rather than just 2 people to make up your 2v2 team. So you are allowed sort of extras to cover because of exactly this kind of thing. Crazed obviously didn't have time. There's lots of games to get through. Couldn't possibly finish them off for whatever reason. So they brought in laneless. And well, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. He won't be warmed up unless he's been playing previously. But anyway, down here, System Failure has abandoned FIM. He is going Cybrin. Very interesting indeed. And Dilly as well, also going Cybrin. So it's a double Cybrin down here for Team XBX versus UEF and Aeon up here for Laneless, who's taken over Crazed's yellow. Very attractive colour that it is. Colour of butter, colour of pus. Good stuff. And Mech Marines heading south from Blackheart on the left-hand side. Going to come into contact with some build capacity of system failure. That's going to be annoying. At least one unit going to go down. He was going to build a radar. That's not going to get finished. And potentially another one going to go down. It's going to come down to how good this Mantis is. Apparently he's very good. That Mantis is an ace. Graduated top of his class in Mantis School. It's a very short course. Takes literally just 10-15 seconds down here in this factory, but it was the highest caliber of pupil that factory had ever had. Actually seeing some strikers formulate over on the left-hand side. Both teams, I think, anxious to prevent any build capacity or ACUs from grabbing any of the reclaims. A lot of reclaim in the middle on this map. Big rocks that they can get their hands on. System failure moving on the left-hand side. Going to deal with some of those strikers. There's a snoop in that mix as well for Blackheart, so that's going to afford him some nice intel. Over on the right-hand side, Dilly has moved up with his ACU. Going to grab the side mass points from this redundant player starting position. It's kind of an interesting mix as well across a field, much like, slightly different orientation of course, but much like that of Open Palms in Game 1. Little feint over on the right hand side from Layla's. One of the little bits of T1 units spam there gets taken out by Dilly's commander, and Blackheart's on the left hand side as well. He's matched or mimicked Dilly's movements. He's also moved forward and grabbed that place. A little bit of a fracas there, and we're going to have to go to split screen here because there's action happening on several different sides of the field. There's pinging going on for System Failure's ACU. I think that's probably from Don Caputos. They're aware that he's quite far forward with that ACU and trying to get stuff built. That must have been from Blackheart, in fact, because Laneless says A. Perhaps he's South African, I'm not sure. But engagements now kicking off all over the place. System Failure doing a nice job of keeping this little group of units at bay, but there's quite a large group heading in for Blackheart now. ACUs in close proximity. System Failure not likely to get that factory finish, I shouldn't think. And now we're going to get a little bit of combat happening in the middle. Laneless's commander is on an upgrade back here. He's nearly done on it though, but he's out of it for the moment. Dilly is marching into this fray with his ACU. Actually, he's going to turn around. Not going to overcommit. That was getting a little bit too close to Laneless's base for his comfort. And still this group of units on the left-hand side for Blackheart is looking pretty healthy. But System Failure going to move in with his ACU and grab as many pickups as he can, try and increase his progress towards veterancy. Blackheart's going to get down a plasma cannon T1 PD. Laneless on a second upgrade up here on his commander, so that's going to be a nasty little ACU right there. Now attempted a run by over on the right hand side from Laneless. Going to snag a couple of Mantis kills. Auroras don't generally go best pound for pound, but he had the advantage of numbers there. Blackheart on the left hand side being very aggressive with his ACU, using it as best he can. Take a look at if he's got access to overcharge. He does not just yet. Could do with getting that if he's going to be continuing to use his ACU in an aggressive fashion. And Dilly is attempting a run by, picking up a few units of build capacity up at the top right hand side. Laneless is going to move into cover. Doesn't want any of those units getting into the back of his base, disrupting his eco. But pretty significant bodies of Mantids in the middle for Dilly. And that's going to be tough. It looks like he's making a move on Blackheart, trying to double team him. I think he probably is. Blackheart under pressure now from both sides. System Failure marching in with his ACU on the left-hand side. Blackheart's spam is taken up in the middle, trying to deal with all the Mantids, but this is a beautiful run-by from System Failure, getting it right into the mix. Over here on the right-hand side, meanwhile, we've got Dilly's commander on an upgrade, and groups of Auroras and Mantids fighting it out in reasonably even fashion, but there's a very large Mantis problem in Blackheart's base. He's made it right into the back. Question is, will he have the ability to take out anything significant? It's too hard to say. Over here on the right-hand side as well, Dilly's having some pretty decent success, and he's moved into Laneless's base at the same time, so Laneless has been quite heavily overrun. I think he probably spent a little bit too much eco on those upgrades, but he has just been cornered. Dilly's done a very nice job with his spam. He's right in the back. He's taking out mass points. He's taking out power generators. Blackheart has subdued the Mantis problem in his own base. He's moving right to assist, but for the moment, Dilly looks to have completely shut Laneless down. And now he's using excess units to funnel into Blackheart's front. They can take out this hydrocarbon. That could be a pretty bad problem for Blackheart. Laneless trying to deal with this problem. He's got virtually no units left at all. All four of his main base mass extractors have gone down. And Blackheart is surrounded by Cybran units. They're running all over the shop. Finally, he's managed to clear them up at front. More coming in, and still groups of units from Dilly at the back, being a right old nuisance. Laneless has managed to get his ACU right back there to deal with them, but he's still not offering any meaningful assistance to his comrade, who's under significant pressure. 2 versus 1 over on the left-hand side. Dilly sitting in the middle. It's going to get a Cerberus turret down, which is nice. It's going to help lock down that side of the map. He's got an awful lot of map control on this right-hand side. And he's completely shutting Blackheart down, who's jostling with his units, trying to create some kind of pocket. He's not managing it, and now that Cerberus turret is down on the right-hand side, picking off one T1 PGen from Laneless. Laneless will be aware that he won't be able to advance forward with any great gusto. Gonna have to figure out a way to take that down, if that's at all possible. XBX have played a blinder in Game 4. Very nice teamwork. Really impressed with the way Dilly has played in this match. It's helped keep System Failure alive, who's been under constant pressure from Blackheart. Another Cerberus turret down from Dilly, forcing Laneless back. He can't get in the mix with his commander, and there's a lot of eco that's been sunk into that commander in terms of upgrades. Laneless can't make use of it. Not going to be able to get them back into this match. Most of the combat seems to be settled in the middle for the moment, so I'm going to head back to single screen. Laneless feinting with his commander, trying to pick up as many kills as he can, thin out the chaff of Mantids down here, get some veterans. He's up to 49 kills, soon to be 50, but he's taking a lot of Cerberus turret fire. Another Cerberus turret's going down for Dilly as well. Blackheart's trying to get a triad up, so he's made the transition to T2 probably on his comm. And also Cerberus turrets going down on the left-hand side for System Failure. So this battle has turned into Point Defense Wars version 1.1. And up here on the right-hand side, large groups of Mantids moving up, shutting down Laneless once again, who's completely cornered by all of these Cerberus turrets. I'm going to have to go back to split screen. It's too much going on in these fields. Laneless down to around 3,000 hit points. It's like he's got a tapeworm, hit points falling off him really badly indeed. System Failure has got one Cerberus turret down, 2 in fact, sorry, working on a 3rd. Blackheart's lost that triad, he's tried to get another one in further back, but Laneless is overrun on the right-hand side. Says in team chat, I am done, and I'm sorry I haven't changed the color of that. Must be a nightmare to see for you guys against this red background, but take my word for it, he is done. I concur. Absolutely overrun. Blackheart moving forward. Only chance now to stay in this is to get rid of System Failure. Trouble is, there's a bunch of point defense down there that's going to disagree with him like a bad sandwich. Laneless still in the game. I mean, he's not out. He's got 70 kills and an upgraded ACU, but he has no base left to speak of. Dilly has overrun him very nicely indeed. I'm going to whack that back up to 0. Combat is in full swing over on the left-hand side. Cerberus turret's a godsend for System Failure, who's a serious striker problem. But look at this up here. Laneless down to 500 HP. He's going to go down on the doorstep of Blackheart's base. Takes out a lot of the spam that was making the run into Blackheart's base. But don't worry, XBX, there's more coming in. Blackheart taking a lot of fire. Going to finish off, to his credit, that last Cerberus turret. So despite all the pressure he was under, he did manage to force system failure back. Still working on more point defense there. Play back to full screen. Look at all of the Mantids moving in to Blackheart's base. And that is going to be end. Build capacity and power gens going pop all over the shop. To do with taking out that energy storage, removing the overcharge. And Laneless asking if there's one more game to go. Assuming it's over. Assuming that your team does lose this game, Laneless, yes, there is one more game. This will only even it up. So pressure not completely off XBX. They still have another game they have to win. Energy storage has gone down. Let's whack that back up to 0. And I think we might as well just set a rally point for all units on the map to attack Blackheart. There's no need. He control Cade, Commander down, and Don Caputos lose game 4. So Team XBX even it up. 2 games apiece. Very nicely done indeed. Impressive stuff. And we head on over to game 5. And of course the final game was one selected by Don Caputos as reigning champ, so they have a slight advantage, ever so slight as it may be, but it is an advantage nonetheless. Also guys, I haven't mentioned, if you haven't noticed in the What's New section of FAF, there is a little quiz that Zep has designed. If you can't, it didn't show up for me first time, I had to relog, so if you can't see it, just relog and it should appear. But it's basically, it's not designed to, more than anything, to show anybody skills off about who knows the most about the game. It's actually a useful little tool. I love what he's done there. It is a way of finding out who, sort of how intrinsically intuitive the game is, how easy it is for players of all standards to understand. And sort of multiple choice kind of style stuff, mainly about eco, and there may well be more of them in the future. I'm a huge proponent of them, and the idea, what's the purpose? Well, it's to help simplify the game as we mod and patch the game to make it, you know, intrinsically more inviting to new people and easier to manage, to check actually if people are even doing the right thing when they're ecoing up. And it also helps us casters trying to develop tutorials when we know what people are actually doing in the mainstream. But anyway, game 5, the pressure is on, and it's going to be Fields of Isis. That's the map that Don Caputos have chosen. Let's take a look at the teams and where they're located. Over here on the left hand side, we've got Blackheart once again going his customary UEF in the grey corner, opening first land, all very standard. Laneless down here going yellow Cybran again, carrying the torch for Crazed, hopefully to have a slightly stronger game than he had in the last one. He's making a move, I think, with his ACU. Yep, already we can see that move command going down here to grab some of this mass. And over on the right hand side down here, system failure for the first time is not mirrored up against Blackheart. So must feel quite happy about that. His opponent's going to be Laneless, considerably closer to him in rank, and he must be breathing a sigh of relief. I mean, not that it would make any difference to me. Anyone on this game would pwn me like a noob, because I am one, but if I had the choice, it definitely wouldn't be Blackheart that I was facing. And Dilly moving towards the middle with his commander. He's going red Cybran, opening first land, all very standard. Going to get some adjacency bonus, not getting any land, any air up just yet. Those land factories are all getting the adjacency bonus on the Hydro. And pretty heavy T1 spam queued up very early on for system failure. Just grab the Hydro. Now he's got a couple of engineers. In fact, it looks like it might potentially be 3 after this one. He's going to grab that mechs. Going to help get that spam on. And we've got a mole out front for Laneless. That's going to give him some good intel and probably help him make sure he gets all of this mass, because slightly further behind, system failure has been devoting more build power than Laneless has to his base from his ACU, so he's a fraction of a second behind, and so is Dilly, ever so slightly behind. You can see Blackheart just a little bit closer to the mass, but we've got an engineer in for Dilly who's going to help grab some of that mass. One Harbinger's going to go down even before Blackheart makes it on the scene. So that will help even out. He's getting the 2 further ones as well, because of course the 2 Harbingers and the Titan Rex are the highest value mass that you can reclaim in this section, so they're the ones you want to go for first, and he's going to get both of the Harbingers. So Engineer first to the front. Oh, gets it, finishes it up just in time, doesn't make it to the last one, but Dilly is going to make it in there with his commander to grab this Titan wreck, or at least the better portion of, and he doesn't let Blackheart have any of them. So a lovely snag despite being behind. Of course, Engineer's slightly faster than ACU, so that is why he went that way. Laneless, by contrast, is the first one to the mass down here, and he's going to grab both the Harbinger's wrecks and the Titan's wreck, so it's split half and half between which team got more mass there of the two starting locations. And these guys not concentrating too much on any com-on-com battles. It's all about the mass to begin with. Little bits of T1 engagements happening all over the place. There seems to be a lot more T1 stuff on the ground. Dilly is very far behind, and actually he cancelled those land factories, and he's gone for air factory on the adjacency bonus. It's probably the right thing to do, but he doesn't have any spam on the ground, and that's going to be tough. Facing off against Blackheart, of all people, it might be difficult for him to hold out. We shall have to see. It's just literally one Mantis on the field for him pretty much at the moment, and that has been placed down here on the bottom half of the map to help System Failure, who's actually looking pretty healthy. He's got a whole bunch of Thams and Zuis in the mix. Potentially grab this aperture and hold on to it. Heads back to grab one of those rocks, one of the large rocks, and we can see how this is looking in terms of mass income. 31 income for Blackheart, 29 for Laneless. We'll wait for these guys to stop reclaiming, I think. Is that what I'm saying? That's unreal. Yeah, there we go. 17 mass for System Failure, so he's lagging behind on eco quite badly. And Dilly's on 33 as well. So Blackheart's got the best of the eco to begin with. He's so consistent with his build orders. That's not facing any particular threat, so I guess he can afford to do it, but he still managed to get the most spam out, which is quite outrageous. So didn't get the mass up here in the middle, and yet he still got the most units on the field and the best eco. It just shows you what systematic build orders and, you know, a good knowledge of the game and maps can actually do. And yet at the same time, this is a guy who, like I said before, 8 months ago, where was he? Nowhere. He's literally come from nowhere. Now he's literally one of the best players in the game. Very interesting. Must have the Sopcom FA gene. Very rare one to get that. I certainly haven't. But we've got air in play for System Failure, not producing any of as of the moment. T2 land for Dilly. He's going straight for tech. That's why we're not seeing that much spam on the field for him. T2 land as well for Laneless. T2 land as well for Blackheart. So everybody's getting in on the tech game, except for System Failure, who's not managed to get there just yet. Knock that back up to +3. There's a lot of standoff stuff happening for the moment. Units pouring in for Blackheart. They've made sure that Dilly hasn't gone for these top two mass points. In terms of map control, now firmly with Don Caputos. And it would be a little bit of a shame if XBX can't make a play of this final game after performing so well across the match. Dilly has played phenomenally. Very impressed indeed. And Laneless moving forward with his commander. Obviously got the T2 engineering suite on the upgrade. Is trying to get a Cerberus turret in play. Took quite a decent amount of Zui fire there, but it hasn't managed to be killed off. So he's got about half of his hit points there, a little bit over, maybe 65%. That Cerberus turret is now in play, locking it down, but it doesn't matter really anyway, because I think Laneless and Blackheart have managed to lock down the Aperture's dominance on this side of the map with just T1 spam. Got one Cerberus turret going down at the Aperture for Dilly. Laneless says they're going into turtle mode. Question is how they're going to work on their tech. Finally, System Failure does have T2. He's using that factory to produce T2 engineers for the moment. Both ACUs up front. And I'm wondering if Laneless doesn't have a mic or something, but he's on mumble. Because it doesn't seem like Blackheart ever says anything, but he's getting one-way answers. So it seems like they're on one-way comms. Laneless can hear what Blackheart's saying, but can't respond for whatever reason. Maybe he's shy. It's quite possible. Decent bunch of hoplites at the front going down for Dilly. Cerberus turrets going down as well. And using Mantids as well. You don't see enough of this, I don't think. It's one of the great advantages for Cyber, and I know it's not a lot of build power. I think it's 1 build power or something, or whatever. It's very small indeed. But seriously helpful when you have them in large numbers. Going to help get that Cerberus turret in place. So we definitely have a turtle fest. I wonder if this was actually pre-planned or it's just worked out that way. Interesting to see. It's vitally important, of course, that Donkaputos don't just continue with the T1 spam. They need to use the advantage they've got with map control to tech up and get to the real meaty units as quickly as possible if they're going to break through. I'd like to see some drops or something similar. We've got a lot of TMD has gone down from Dilly. It's concerned about any potential tactical missile strikes. I actually think the Billy was changed in this game. Of course, facing off against Blackheart, could be concerned about that. Not sure if Billy was changed in the last patch or not. I know it was suggested by Shep. Can't actually remember after I read the patch notes whether or not that went in, but Hoplites moved north from Dilly, taken out those 2 mass points that should rightfully be his in terms of geography. Blackheart had picked them up. Maybe we should go Fat Boy together. Excellent turtle breaking idea. But of course we don't know. Are we to know? What's the response? Blackheart up here nearly finished his upgrade. Very slow game indeed. Complete contrast to the rest of the match so far. And system failure destructing groups of T1 land factories he's not going to need anymore because it's all about the tech. He's got 2 T2 land factories in play. In fact, that one up at the front is currently upgrading to T3. Such movements from Dilly as yet. He seems comfortable for the moment at T2. Large groups of units though still for Blackheart. He's not really adding to it though, which I think is the right move. It's the odd units coming in, but it's all about the tech for the moment. He's got a T2 air factory in place, still producing T1 interceptors out for the moment. The Cyclone for UEF. Also got T2 land as well, of course, which we saw earlier. But it's definitely looking like it's going to be quite the air fight, the way it's growing at the moment. Lots of inties out for Team XBS. XBX, sorry. What that stands for. It's kind of like Xbox, isn't it? Maybe they all played Supreme Commander on the Xbox. I think that's very unlikely. At least I hope it's unlikely. Hoplites moving south from Dilly, grabbing those 2 mass points at the bottom, shooing Laneless off them. Could be potentially harassing this body of troops, but they're just an overwhelming unwillingness in this game to engage. I think XBX being the last game, maybe the pressure, a little bit nervous. They've gone to full lockdown, turtle mode. And siege tanks now in production from System Failure, who's managed to get that up to T3. That's what they're going for. You can see Dilly assisting there, getting T3 on the field. And they're going to use that tech advantage, or what they think is a tech advantage, for the moment, to break one of these 2 lines and start getting back in this. Of course, there's no major turtling going on this side, so you break the large body of troops and you're away. That is the general rule of thumb on ISIS. Difference between turtle and spam. It's not going straight in with that though. Certainly sapping all their power. T3 engineer off the bat. Do a lot worse than to get a T3 power gen. Indeed, that's what he's thinking. That's going to go down right at the front to save time. Dangerous location all the same, but saves a lot more time than heading it over here down to the bottom right. Blackheart still way ahead on mass income, 117. Dilly on 114. That's fluctuating slightly. It's always difficult to see actually. These guys are on laneless. Is he having power troubles? Nope, he's just not doing it. There he goes, back up to 107. Must have dipped there in power for a moment. And system failure. Definitely lagging behind on the eco. Needs to get more of those mass extractors upgraded. Taking a look over here, you can see all of Dilly's except for this one here are up to T3 in the core, and then he's got outer lying T2. System failure is yet to get any T3 in play. He's got one. He's got adjacency bonus on it. He hasn't finished all of his mass storage yet. But we've got T3 in play in terms of air for Blackheart. First thing over are a couple of spy planes. Now we're getting some ASFs in production, and that's going to really force XBX to make the move. We've got Laneless going air as well, so that's definitely what they were doing when Laneless was saying let's go for a fat boy. I think it's likely that Blackheart responded with no, let's tech air first. So we're going to see quite a significant air push. And if they're going to do anything, XBX, with this tech advantage that they've got on the ground, I think it needs to be now. But he's not even producing any more siege tanks out of it for the moment. He's having such critical power problems. 480 power compared to all the rest of them. Needs to get that fusion online as soon as humanly possible. Lots of build capacity over here on the left for Blackheart, but only a certain amount of them are assisting. He's trying to get a fusion online. Obviously, he doesn't have the power to assist as much as he'd like on that factory. Such a different game compared to the rest of the match. This is the sort of game I do actually get sent games like this all the time on ISIS, and it doesn't always feel like it, but or it doesn't always feel like such a turtle fest when you're actually playing. But you know, it can feel like you've had a really exciting game, but it just it's quite hard to cast because there's just not a lot going on. Two groups of people sit in their base and teching, but we've got a bug going up here. And this is going to be make or break for XBX. They need to make this pay. Of course, they're not certain that, well, they've seen Blackheart's spy planes go over, so they know that he's reached T3, but they're not to know that Laneless has as well, who's also committing pretty heavily to ASF span. Laneless just finished an upgrade on his comm. Let's actually see what that was, purely because I'm intrigued. It's got resource allocation and T3 engineering suite, so one of those two. I really think, despite we're seeing the first experimental on the field for XBX, I think they're in trouble. They're so far behind on air tech. It's T3 versus T1, and that Soul Ripper is going to have real problems getting through all these ASFs. And groups of T1 interceptors that are coming down as well. He stops for a minute. He knows he's not going to get too far. He's got to commit it. Brings back in, takes down the radar, tries to get somewhere, and just achieves nothing as he plows headfirst into the bank. And those interceptors, most of whom have run out of fuel, brooking no opposition to all of these ASFs circling in the center of the map. And that's a real problem. Huge quantities of mass and energy went into that Soul Ripper for literally no gain All they really managed to bag was a radar and 2 T1 power, maybe the odd plane or two, for a very expensive trade indeed. I'll tell you exactly how much it is off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up, but a Soul Ripper will cost you 34,000 mass. Actually seems pretty reasonable to me. Surprises me we don't see more of them. But we've got a Demolisher in play for Blackheart, the UEF T-Ball T3 Mobile Artillery. T-Ball, tripping up over words here. My brain hasn't been kept occupied enough. Damn you, XBX. They're just sitting here at the front of their base, full turtle mode. Chicken does go down, so they're still working on experimentals, but they're going to need multiples of them if they're going to break this. Got a monkey that's gone down. In fact, it's nearly finished, about to go into the green on HP here for Laneless. That's not going to take very long to go up at all. We'll lose one-on-one with the chicken. All depends on which way XBX send that as we pass the 23rd minute in this game. Lots of ASFs on the field for Blackheart. So air advantage firmly in Don Caputos' hands. It just feels like they don't really know what to do over here, XBX. It's not really working for them. They're too slow, they're too far behind. They went to turtle mode, but they didn't have a strategy for when they got there. At least it wasn't ironed out, it wasn't quick. Got a few Percys back here as well for Blackheart. So that T3 land advantage they had, those siege tanks which they didn't do anything with, long since gone. Now Blackheart's just filling up on Percy's, and we've also got a bug going down for Laneless. He's finished his Monkey Lord. Blackheart's coming in to build a shield right next to it, give it some coverage. Doesn't want that going down, getting bombed or anything like that. Chicken half done, a little bit over. Definitely a group project there between these two. But this is the most stagnant ISIS I've seen in, God, I can't remember when. 25 minutes gone. And literally we kind of saw a little bit of an engagement up here, a bit up here. The commander's activity at the front, but that's it. There's been no attempt really by Don Caputos to try and break this. As well, they don't need to. I mean, they've been ahead most of the game, but finally we're seeing some motion. And I like what System Failure is doing here. He's heading forward with the mobile shield gen first. That's absorbing that Cerberus turret fire, allowing the siege tanks to get in unscathed. And they'll be able to breeze past that Cerberus turret with no difficulty whatsoever. But there's a Monkey Lord steaming towards those units. And Lanus withdrawing his spam up to the top left. That bug also goes into the green. It's over 3/4 done. Demolisher has started to fire again. This one engineer, intrepid as he is, trying to pick up mass points for Dilly. That chicken has now been finished. That's some pretty good battlefield interpretation there from System Failure. Recognized the threat, maybe he scouted. Saw that Monkey Lord. That Soul Ripper is now online. They're suggesting maybe a second Soul Ripper. Blackheart is getting a strategic missile defense, so he's concerned about the lack of activity from XBX. Perhaps anticipating a nuclear strike that he hasn't seen. Always worth getting it up, and that'll give him some pretty good coverage. We'll take a look at the coverage on that. So it would have to be a very widely placed nuke indeed to get past him on the top. And could potentially only damage the fringes of Laneless down here right at the bottom. So it's nicely placed there, covering him and his teammate. Second bug has gone down, or been placed, sorry. People taking exception of my description there of things going down, as in perhaps forming confusion with getting destroyed. But ambassadors in play now for Blackheart, so we're getting strap bombers on the field. So I feel a snipe coming on. Madness may yet end, and a Scathis going down as well for XBX, and I'm surprised that's not actually been the plan, or it may well have been the plan all along. Go Turtle and Scathis them, but I think it needed to go down a lot earlier, and they needed to get T3 air, which they still don't have. Scout planes going out for Blackheart. We were also getting some Revenants, the Cybrin strat bombers being produced by Laneless. So there's definitely Snipe City on the cards. Spy planes have gone out. Probably just seen that Scathis, that's what Laneless's comments there, we can strat it later, pertain to. But if they pick the right target, I mean, Seraphim Shields, of course, very strong indeed. But get enough strat bombs together and they ain't going to stop them. System Failure isn't even standing underneath one at the moment. Could pick him off very nicely indeed if they make a play for it soon. So many strat bombers though. How many has he got here? 12 strat bombers. It's a lot of damage. And how many from Laneless? Failing at my clicking there. 4 from him. So 16 strats. It's pretty painful. Gonna knock this back up to +2. Demolisher firing off a round as a few hoplites move forward. Takes out one of them, but hoplites versus Percival's is a very short game indeed, with a pretty obvious outcome. Maybe I give my strats to you, make it better. Coordination. Lanus is going to give the strats over to Blackheart, which he's done. So Blackheart is going to be the controlling force. Perhaps means that the strats are about to make their move if he's given them over. Lots of scout planes coming over for XBX, getting murdered by the ASFs. Don Caputos must be concerned perhaps that they've seen those strats. Don't think they did, but it could be a concern, and so it's always wise to move as quickly as possible when that under those kind of situations. We've got lots of SAMs going down, so I think it's probably been spotted, and the SAMs are going out forward of the direction that they're going to be coming in. So I think they've seen it, but I think that's just too many strat bombers for them to see. There's got a lot of flak kicking out here at the front. They could probably be better repositioned out here in the middle. But still, Don Caputos build up those strats. And now we have... Is that two? That's got to be a second Soul Ripper, or is that one nearly done? No. So that first Soul Ripper moving into position. It's going to be a full-on air attack. ASFs take off first, moving south for Laneless, and the whole body move in together, and XBX having power problems at the worst possible time. Loads get taken out by the SAMs. Bombs away. First volley go off straight onto the floor, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. That looked like Dilly. There he goes. Got taken out. Wasn't the best camera angle, but it's always pretty hard seeing. They've got 2 Soul Rippers coming in now as well. That's going to be game, set, and match for Don Caputos. I think all they need to do is move in now and finish it off. Very entertaining match, although except for this last ISIS, which I've got to say has probably been one of the slowest ISISes I've ever seen. Most uneventful one, certainly I've seen in a long time. Bugs moving in over the top. Bombs away on strat bombers, moving in, going straight after System Failures ACU. First round impacting on the shields. The shields go down, and they're never going to be able to take out these bugs. They come down, close in on System Failures ACU. GG mofo. Down he goes, and that is game. Well played, Don Caputos. You definitely deserve that win. They take the series 3-2. So I can see why TA for Life wanted me to cast that. It was a good run for their money they had there. And if you're wondering why there isn't a space between Don and Computos, it's because I couldn't get Starboard to work on that scoreboard. It was cutting off half the S. It was annoying me, so I just amalgamated the two. I hope you don't mind. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I hope that last game didn't slow it up too much for you. But there will be more to come from me. In fact, I'm going to try and get another one out tonight to make up for yesterday. Apologies for that. I took a day off, the whole Easter break thing. I hope you guys instantly had a good Easter. But there will be also an Easter special coming soon. I hope. We're having a few technical problems. It's going to be NG mod, and the game was played last week, and then the mod got updated, so we're just trying to get that to run, and it'll be a very belated Easter special. But in the meantime, guys, stay well and stay safe as always. This is Gyle signing out.